Hello, fellow gamers. Cryptic Panther here with another content creator interview for Beyond the Games. And with me today is Corey Thomas.
Hello.
So this is a little bit different interview than I've done previously. Corey is he's a gamer, but maybe not so much on the streaming content creation side as a gamer. But this individual is a talented artist. He does a Twitch channel, which will be linked in the description. But Corey is co-owner of High Score Tees, and he's also co-owner of Monster Lagoon. And we're going to get into those here very shortly. But maybe just give everybody listening a quick rundown of how you get into what you're currently doing.
Uh, it's a long path.
Hey, we got lots of time.
So I started in apparel design right out of college, and I designed in the sports industry. I did that for a while, and then I kind of migrated into music, and I did freelance. I worked in house too at Warner Music, designed for pretty much every band you can imagine. Then I went, I left Warner and I decided to do it on my own and do freelance. And that way I could work for more merchandise companies. So I did that. I started that in 2015. And then in 2017 or 18, I started working with licensed companies. And what that means is like stuff like Disney. I got to do stuff for Marvel, Star Wars, pretty much any kind of big box company like that you see. I did the graphic tees for. And then one of the projects that I got through that was for Fortnite, and it introduced me to Twitch, and I got obsessed with it to the point where I was constantly watching people, really enjoyed it, got kind of immersed in the community on Twitch. And I started kind of thinking like, hey, a lot of these guys don't really have any merch. And if they do, sorry, it wasn't the best. And it's not their fault. There's a lot of limitations, which I'll explain when I get into High Score Tees. But it was something that I kind of wanted to do, but I didn't really have the time because my freelance schedule was already busy as it was. And getting in touch with streamers and having them answer you is a game in itself. And so what I ended up doing was just kind of putting feelers out there, talking to people. And then good old COVID hit, and all the bands that I worked with stopped touring, and the entertainment properties kind of locked up production, just in the scarce of everything going on. And so I found myself with a lot of time. And that's how I ended up branching out to some of these guys and working out some deals and basically saying, hey, if you let me do everything, we'll just split the profit. And that seems to have worked really well. And then with that, once I launched High Score Tees, literally probably a week into it, this guy saw Burger Warrior store, and he had done all the animations and graphics for him. And he hit me up, and I think he was like, hey, who is this new graphics guy? Like, he's stepping on my territory. We ended up talking, and I basically told him I had no ambition to do anything that moved, meaning motion graphics or anything like that. I just want to do apparel. And he, pretty quickly said, well, I don't want to do the graphics. I just want to do the motion. So why don't we start something? And that's when we started Monster Lagoon, which is now basically we can do everything from branding to custom anything on your stream that you want, and also make your apparel and sell it.
Wow. So started from doing merchandising for corporations. Now you're doing custom work for streamers, content creators. It's quite a path.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. That's the one reason I wanted you on here, because from watching your streams and chatting to you a bit during your streams and stuff, and seeing some of your content you've created as you have your little overlay play and some of the stuff you created. So I thought, man, this guy's got an interesting story. And watching you draw art as someone that is, when I was a kid, I always kind of, drew like most kids do. They draw, and they doodle, etc. From my mind to my fingertips never worked. It was always, hey, I got this cool idea and I draw it out. It's like, it doesn't look anything. To watch someone create live on stream, because what you do for your streaming is interesting to watch your process. Is there anything that, you said you started at college, so I take it you must have taken design in university,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Is there anything that you've perfected in your artwork? Do you find drawing? Have you always done digital style, or have you done like, I know you do a lot of Photoshop, but like hand to paper type artwork? Do you do that as well, or is it mostly digital stuff?
Now it's mostly digital. I don't really need to. I like the undo button,
Yeah.
and I have a Cintiq to where I can draw on that. But for the most part, I don't really like illustrating. I mean, hell, for the fact of it, I don't really like designing that much. But I'm just happen to be pretty good at it. I like My passion has gone from creating and designing things and being a quote unquote artist to I like the business of running a design company. So a lot of my stuff is digital. Style wise, before COVID and everything, I have a really good eye for like retro graphics in the sense of like creating things that actually look like they were produced in the 70s or 80s, versus kind of doing like the hokey, uh this looks like it might have been designed back then, but you can tell that it's designed now. So I like to work with a lot of textures and stuff like that. But then I've always been able to draw. I have more of like a cartoon style than anything. So like if you look at Burger Warrior's page, like his kind of style of design worked perfect for me. But then if you look at Beardageddon, who has more of like a metal, metal style, that's stuff that I hired out to have other illustrators do, because I'm a huge proponent in finding what you're very, very and doing that thing. So I have certain things that I like to design. I can design type really well. I can design thick, vintage graphics really well. But if I need something that's highly illustrated, or maybe something a little bit more feminine, or kind of outside of my toolbox, I can do that, but I'd much rather have someone else who's an expert at that do it.
So you have no problem, maybe to put the ego in check, saying, well, you know yourself, you're an artist, but you understand what your limitations are.
Oh, 100%.
Wow,
I'd honestly rather have someone do everything.
you'd rather sit back and just push the
Right.
buttons. I get it.
I like to tell people like, hey, here's what I see. You're really good at doing this thing. Why don't you go do it? That's just kind of how my mind works. So sometimes it works out perfect. Sometimes either I didn't explain it, or you find an artist who's, maybe not necessarily at the level. But I have a handful of guys that I rely on, and it's just clockwork. Like they kind of understand my feedback and how I say things. But to that, if you look at high score tees, I would say 90% of it is, actually probably 95 to 99% of it is stuff that I did. But there are a handful of things that I had some help for some friends to get it up and running.
Okay, nice. So we'll talk a little bit about your setup. I know you mentioned just before we started recording that you bought a PC to do some gaming and stuff.
Mhm.
But what about your artwork side? Like what's your setup for there? What are you using, software, hardware wise? What are you using there for your
So
stuff?
yeah, I use the Adobe Suite. I've always used Photoshop and Illustrator, primarily Illustrator. I use Photoshop to textures, photos, and stuff like that. But Illustrator is my program of choice, 100%. I have a Mac, so I work off of Mac. I've been on Mac for as long as I can remember. But in getting into streaming and stuff like that, it is limiting. I can't play a lot of games on my computer. And I have an Xbox, so that's like pretty much where I've played Sea of Thieves or any games that I do play. But yeah, today we actually I bought a PC specifically for gaming, and mainly so that like as we grow High Score Tees and Monster Lagoon, I can actually play games with our clients other than just Sea of Thieves, because not everyone plays Sea of Thieves, and because we are working with gamers 90% of the time, being able to hang out with them in a video game is a question I get asked here and there. And so it's kind of gotten to the point where I was like, okay, I'm tired of telling people no.
So you've come full circle. You've started designing merchandise. Now you're into the gaming side. But like I said, I mentioned on the start before we recorded, you're not starting Corey Thomas Gaming anytime soon. You're just going to stream some with and play with some of your clients and stuff, which help build a rapport, which is very smart. Very
Yeah.
smart. So
Yeah.
do you have the PC purchased? Are you ordering it? What kind of setup are you ordering for a gaming rig, if you don't mind me asking?
It is ordered. I did not order it. My business partner, Damon, he ordered it and he just told me that it'll be here Tuesday. So I have absolutely no idea what it looks like or what it is.
So you're just getting sent a computer to use, and that's it. No questions asked.
No questions asked. I have zero technical skills or knowledge.
So the picking out the board, the processor, GPU is not your bag of tricks anyway. So you just let that up to a, all
Nope.
right,
He
smart
just he
move.
just spouted off a bunch of numbers to me and I said, "Cool."
Another smart move. You are very intelligent. You started off by accepting this interview, and now you're just proving it point after point that you're a smart man.
I try.
So with content creation, I mean, you do, like I said, your artwork is content creation outside of the realm of even streaming it or whatever else. So how do your like family and friends react when you tell people kind of what you do for a living? As you know, you're an artist, but now that you create logos for streamers and stream your artwork, do people find that odd, or what are their reactions to that?
Well, so when I worked for the music industry, it was really easy in entertainment because then I could just say like, you ever been to the graphic tee department at Target? Yeah, I do that. That's what I do. And then you have to explain to them like they're like, oh, for who? And I'm like, no, that like those shirts that you see there, like I designed those. So that was always pretty easy. Then you tell them now I'm doing it for Twitch streamers, and everyone goes, what's that? Um, so I'd say the biggest thing is kind of explaining that there is a world out here that is people playing video games and we sit here and watch them. And kind of people are like, really? And so then you kind of show them numbers and stuff like that. I mean, even my business partner with the merch company that I co-own, I basically kind of explained to him what was going on and like I was like, this is a really good business to get into, and he was kind of like, all right, buddy, like whatever you say. And then after opening a handful of stores, now he's like, so who is this guy on Twitter? Who is this? Like, and asking all these questions and wanting to know what emotes are. So it's like, it's always been everyone that's close to me are friends with me and family. They understand to a degree what I do. And now that I actually have like a physical website up to point them to, I just now instead of saying like, oh, do you go to Target? I can just say like, go to High Score Tees or go watch, Freemason Live. Like all that stuff is what I did. Go watch Boxy Fresh. All that stuff. That's what I did. So it's kind of cool to just show them in person what's going on.
Even though like Twitch being as massive as Twitch is, you still got to think there's that other side of the coin that has no clue.
Oh yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's a struggle. I know other people I've asked that question to have a similar reaction as that, and it's always like, yeah, Twitch and streaming and video games are like what?
yep.
It's someone that's been in video games and content creation for a very long time. It's hard to understand. There's still such a large majority of people that don't understand what it is.
Right.
It is rather I don't know how to put it. It's kind of hard to describe, I guess.
It's a new world. It's a new thing. I mean, it's very, very young. If you think about it, 5-6 years ago, I didn't even know what Twitch was, and I grew up with video games.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it has definitely had a huge boom. It's a multi-million, if not billion-dollar industry at this point, especially esports and stuff like that. And then, my mindset is you look at merch and apparel. Well, that's always been a key element and item to the music industry and sports industry and entertainment industry and all these things, and I just feel that Twitch is not and streamers or content creators, they're just on the cusp of kind of figuring that out. An example being you have people like Dr. Disrespect and Ninja finally dropping quote unquote legit merch lines. They're not uploading stuff to print on demand sites. This is a web store with stuff that was manufactured, limited edition, yada yada yada.
Exactly. So yeah, like the logos and like I mean, and so many Twitch streamers have like their personas, their personalities, and then their branding and I mean for someone like yourself to offer up a service that you do is definitely a big plus to people on the content creation side that have like, oh, I don't really know where to go, what to do to get my, my logo, my branding put out on
Mhm.
merchandise to, to help, because I mean, it is for a lot of people, it's a source of income. So for you to offer up the service you do is definitely probably a weight off their shoulders. And also, I mean, it gives you, your opportunity to continue what you love to do in your business side and to offer up the
Mhm.
service. It's pretty awesome how everything just kind of fell into place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it started off with me reaching out to, a handful of guys and saying, "Hey, like, would you want merch?" And essentially the idea was you'll pay me a flat fee and I'll give you the files and then you figure out where you're going to sell them. And every I got the same things. Well, I'll get back to you. Let me think about it. I don't quite know what I want. I don't know if that's in the budget. Typically, I don't make that much on merch. I don't get that back. Like, it's more for the fans. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. And so my thought process was, well, how do I make this valuable and how do I make this work? And so there's other sites out there where you can sign up and you can pay a monthly fee, and I think you get, you can pay for designs, and it's kind of like you have to pay at every step of the way, and that works, and people can do that. But these guys and girls that are streaming, they have so much stuff going on, and they have, there a lot of them, their channels are growing, they're busy, they're trying to focus on that, and the last thing they want to do is figure out where to upload art and find an artist to do this and to find an artist to do that. And there's not really like a one-stop shop. And so with High Score Tees, the whole idea is that you come to us and we partner up. And what I mean by partner up is like, I'm going to invest my time into creating art and designs for you. And then you go out there and sell it. You get your audience to come and buy merchandise for you. And then, so anyone who was on a High Score Tees, like, they haven't paid for the art. That's not how it works. Basically, I create all the art, I host the store for them, and I give them promotional materials, and then they go and tell their audience to go buy it. And for every purchase, the streamer gets a portion of it, and then our company gets a portion of it. And right now, what we're learning is that a lot of the Twitch community doesn't necessarily want t-shirts. They want mugs, they want koozies, they want, hats, they want pullovers, they want what I call unique items, which is completely different than the music industry. And so what we're kind of moving towards is having like a core kind of shop for these guys that'll have, art or designs on there on a limited garments and stuff like that. So like, 9 to 10 products that's just kind of always up there, refreshing that every, 4 to 6 months, but then releasing limited edition items. So if, for example, we have the Hitbo hat, there was only 50 of them and we sold out of them in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And yeah. And so because we're also a merch company, like, we do use print on demand for a lot of our products, but we also have a warehouse where we can produce our own products and we can ship them ourselves. And that's where you can get into more unique and custom items. And so the better your store does on High Score Tees, the higher chance you have as a content creator or a streamer to get a unique item in your store. So if your store is doing really well, that tells me like, hey, we should get this person something unique because their audience is buying a lot of stuff. And if you're not selling well in your store, then we have the conversation of how do we build your audience? What can I do on my end to help you grow your community? Because at the end of the day, we can show as many people High Score Tees and get as many people to the site as possible. But ultimately, it is a formula of, hey, I'm coming here because I want to support the streamer that I enjoy watching.
So this is like I said, this is a very interesting business model. I know I'd reach out to you. I see you on Twitter promoting, yourself and stuff. And that's another thing. The question is, we'll step into in a second. And I reached out to you as I was trying to get back into my streaming after I'd taken a needed break. And you, as someone who was a small time streamer, you had no problem with saying, hey, send me, sign up and, we'll see what the future brings. And like, that's a kind of attitude that, is very helpful to the smaller size content creator, like someone who's not pulling in the numbers of, you know, Beardageddon and Boxy Fresh and then some of the individuals you have under your store. So you get offering,
Mhm.
you know, that type of service to the lower end, you know, the maybe not so successful air quotes around that streamers, content
Mhm.
creators, or newer ones. That's definitely something for you to be applauded for. So not just turning you saying, "Oh, you only have, you know, you don't have 500 viewers. I don't want you, you know, even come near me." Like you definitely are, you know, giving your opportunities to other people, and you know, giving goals for people to work towards to eventually get merchandise. Because as someone, you know, is always, you know, with the streaming being on the smaller side of it, try to create merchandise is almost impossible. And
Yeah, it is. And two, it's not necessarily, you know, change your life money all the time, you know. And that's just merch in general, you know, the profit margins are what they are. And you know, to that, like, yes, there are smaller streamers on the stores, and like right now we are, obviously it is a business, so we are looking for the bigger streamers, and so we have some kind of guidelines moving forward. But it's a, we talk about this, you know, internally, we will always have an open door policy, and that if you sign up or if you come and want to have a store, it doesn't matter how big or small you are. If I go into your channel and I like what I see, or if my, you know, my employees or the people that I work with, if they're like, yo, this person's like, they're going places or whatever, even if you only have 500, you know, followers and 10 to 20 viewers, like like sometimes, you know, we are willing to take a chance, or we're like, hey, like, how can we help this person grow? So we do welcome everyone to sign up. That doesn't mean, you know, everyone's going to get on the site, because we are limited with our time, but we are making an effort to, you know, for every, you know, big streamer, quote unquote, that we let onto the site, we are going to mix in some smaller streamers to help them potentially grow. And you know, it would be awesome to bring on someone who starts their store, and they do average a very low number of viewers, and then they explode, and they, you know, it's kind of like, hey, like, we were with you at the beginning, you know, we saw that this potential was there, and you know, we're glad that we invested in you, and we appreciate you, you know, investing back into us.
yeah, you're not setting unattainable option, you know, an unattainable level to even apply, which I thought was great, and that was one thing that kind of, you know, I think started our kind of our conversation back and forth was on Twitter, and then like, you know, then you streaming and me going into your streams and stuff. And like I said, I my streaming career is currently on hold, so that's not where I'm at right now with my content creation. But like I said, that step was, you know, you're not just saying, well, hey, you know, sign up and we'll just maybe talk. Like you've actually had a conversation with me and back and forth. So that's one thing I said you applied for. I mean, I understand that not everyone, you know, with five followers that just started yesterday is not going to get a store day one. I understand that. I mean, most people
Right.
do. But the storefront and the option that you give for that, and the business model behind your adventure and stuff is totally different from what, as a content creator, I've seen before, and that's impressive. It's really
Thank you.
interesting, and it's, and I mean, like I said, and I've seen your merchandise. I currently don't own any of it. I've seen, I've you know, I do watch quite a bit of the streams that you actually, streamers that you actually work with. I've seen a lot of
Mhm.
you know, a lot of the content, and some of those commercials that you have are impressive. The production quality on some of those is very, very high. And very entertaining. The Boxy Fresh one is one of the most recent ones that I've seen, and that was entertaining. But he's quite the card, so it probably wasn't that hard of a promo to get together. But
Yeah.
you guys are
Now, I
pulling.
didn't do the video for Boxy. That was Backpack Barb. She did all that.
But like your company though, you guys have, you know, really stepped up. Like you're not saying you've come out of nowhere, but I mean, you guys are taking the content creation world by storm with your designs, with your logos creation, with you streaming some logo design, which I find extremely entertaining. I wish you streamed your content. I wish you streamed your artistry more, because I've definitely watched a lot. It's enjoyable, and
Oh, thank you.
and your conversations back and forth. You're paying attention to chat, and conversing with people as you're designing is entertaining to watch, and see how you work is pretty cool. As someone who
Yeah.
enjoys art and artwork in that type of sense, and the logo design side of it's really interesting. But
Thanks. Thanks.
let's get into some maybe your favorite and some of your least favorite things about what you do. So let's start on the maybe not so positive side. What are some of the maybe the downsides, the least favorite things you enjoy doing about this entire thing that you do?
Um, you want me to be honest, or you want me
Yeah,
to
well,
play businessman? um,
I mean,
uh,
I don't want you to burn your house down, but I mean, if you just be as honest as you feel comfortable. That's kind of what I
yeah,
feel like.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty to the point. Very very transparent. So the things that are frustrating is things like our printing situation sometimes, um getting customers or getting stuff sent out, because we do use a third party system for a lot of our print on demand stuff. At the moment, we've actually been in talks with a handful of manufacturers to basically have a better one-on-one relationship with our printers, which is what we need. Because right now, the company we use, they don't necessarily give us a contact person. They've sent out a couple of items that would make me roll them. It's just like I'm literally emailing them and I'm like, how can you send this product out? Like how? Like what are you doing? So stuff like that, things that are out of my control, kind of frustrate me. I have a very high standard of quality and customer service, and I expect those around me or those who work with me to match that. I'm also work a lot. And so when you put all this time and effort into something, and then the printer kind of, or the shipment gets messed up, it really drives me up the wall. But I will say that the majority of our products have arrived to people safely. Obviously COVID did a doozy on shipping times for a while, but those seem to have gotten better. um the other thing is, everyone we've worked with has been a dream client when it comes to the actual creation of the art. In the past, that has typically been something that can be a nightmare, in the sense of trying to get the design revisions done over and over and over, stuff like that. We haven't really run into anyone who's been overly a diva, I guess you would say. Everyone's been pretty cool, pretty direct, pretty straightforward. Um, and two, I've done this long enough to where I've set up a lot of kind of checkpoints so that it doesn't end up being this, day before we release, here you go, here's all your stuff, and they're like, wait a minute. So there's a lot of checkpoints when you work with me. You're talking to me a lot if I'm in the process of working on your store, which I don't know if that's that might be annoying to other people, but I kind of enjoy working on it with people. Um, so yeah, just kind of little things that are kind of out of my control. Another example is like the back end of our store yesterday, like because we did last week was a booming week. They decided to investigate our store, which was a lot of paperwork. So that was interesting. Um, and then, the biggest thing is I just wish I had more time to do this stuff and to dive into the art and to think out some things maybe a little bit more. But, we're managing. I think we have a lot of stores. We have a lot opening. And so, sometimes I kind of forget about something, or someone will be like, hey, we talked about a hat. Where's the hat? It's like, oh, you're right. It's ready to be uploaded. I just haven't uploaded it yet. So those are kind of the frustrations. I mean, running a business this is the High Score Tees is like the third or fourth business that I've started. My freelance career, which I consider a business, I didn't do anything to run that into the ground. COVID kind of messed that one up for me. And then, co-owning a merch company, and it's doing well. Where it runs High Score Tees, and so that's kind of my focus right now. But we have a handful of clients on that side. But it's tedious when the more people you get coming in, more people you have to kind of service and help. So I guess that kind of answers your question.
That kind of covers some of the least, and I know, like you said, you did enjoy the conversations with the content creators too on the business side. That's one of your favorite things. Is there anything else on the favorite side that would be other than just conversing with the content creators on a regular basis, is there anything else maybe on the design side that would
So
be
I've done merch for 10 years and I enjoy it. I'm really good at it. Because you do anything for 10 years, you tend to be decent at it. Um, and so it's not that it doesn't excite me anymore, but it's just kind of like, this is the thing that I do. It's nothing new.
okay?
Um, nobody comes up to me and it says like, "Oh, I want to do this," and I'm just like, like, okay, like it's like I know exactly how I'm going to do that. There's not a lot of mystery there, but designing the stream alerts and the branding and the overlays and the figuring out how we're going to do the stingers and work with the window, that's all new to me. And that's really been exciting. I've really, really enjoyed kind of solving that problem of and honestly, being able to explain to Damon at Monster Lagoon, like, hey, this is on top, and then in the background, I need this specific thing moving around, and he's like, okay. And so it's really cool to imagine that stuff and then see it kind of actually come together. When COVID first hit, I tried to start doing some motion stuff myself, and I quickly learned that I do not want anything to do with this. I just want to make the graphics, and if I just motion's just not in the books for me. So finding someone who is the opposite of that, excuse me, has been amazing, and we have a very good workflow. There's very like a lot of times like I'll be explaining what I want something to do motion wise, and he's already doing it, which has been really, really cool. So our we kind of work on the same wavelength. So I've really enjoyed that. I get really excited when someone signs up for High Score Tees, or emails Monster Lagoon and is interested. There have been a few times where people have gotten on the phone with us, and they're kind of weary because rebranding a stream is not cheap. I'm not going to act like it is or say that it is. We're not cheap. But when people see Masons, Freemason Lives, and then they see, Boxy's rebrand, and then Friday you'll be able to see all Coop. Well, I don't know if this will be out, but on the 18th, all Coop will be releasing his new rebrand and his new merch. So once people start seeing this stuff kind of active, because we don't have a portfolio at the moment for the stuff we've done, it's just been kind of like Damon was doing this for the last few years, and then I came out of nowhere, and it was just like the floodgate opened up, and so we have quite the roster of stores opening, or rebrands coming out in the next few months. And it's every time someone sees one, we get, okay, I'm ready to go now. Like if you can do that, I'm ready to go. So it's that side of what I'm doing now has been new, refreshing, and it's really exciting.
Okay, so that's kind of the thing that I was looking for with the favorite thing. Like, I know the artistry and stuff is something you do in a long time, like you've stated, and but as someone that's doing content creation, not definitely not on the level you do, but having those creative juices kind of flowing in is a nice feeling. So I'm glad that even though the motion side isn't your bag of tricks, the design side is still something that gets you excited and something you really enjoy, along with the business side of it. It's interesting to hear you speak regarding, I mean, hey, I've been an artist for 10 years, but still with the ideas of design, whether they're in motion or a static image, is something that still gets you, get the creative juices flowing, and something you're excited about is impressive to see, because I know burnout is a thing. And
Yeah.
and this is something that, I mean, you mentioned your freelance because of COVID, but was there a point where you just kind of wanted to stop doing what you're doing?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we actually were in the process of saving saving a lot of money that we were generating to go towards doing something else. To make it in the apparel industry, you have to design a lot, because it's not a t-shirt design is not necessarily the greatest paying thing. So the way that you're successful in that industry is you design 20 plus shirts a day. So that's the history that I've had for the last probably 6 to 8 years, was a world of 15 to 20 designs 5 days a week, sometimes 6 or 7 days a week, just nonstop. And the burnout it hit kind of a peak at the end of last year, end of 2019. And so the thing was that like nothing was broke. I was making extremely good money. I was living very comfortably. There really was no reason other than kind of quality of life to try to change things up. And also I had a portfolio of nothing but t-shirt designs. And this is like the biggest thing in the art world is unless you have said thing in your portfolio, nobody's going to know that you can do it. And so while I can brand and I can do branding and I can obviously do motion, or at least design for motion and all this stuff, I never had the opportunity and I couldn't showcase it to anyone. So all I got was more apparel work. And I equate that too to like I never had enough time to just stop doing that and focus on other things. And I also didn't want to stop doing that and focus on other things because again, I was in a very comfortable situation. And, I'd already took that leap of faith. Like I quit my job to try to do freelancing with, 2 clients. And then I built from there. And, I'm in my, younger 30s now. And it was like, I don't want to do that again. But then COVID basically kind of forced me into that. And, there've been a few things that have rushed. High score tees definitely happened a lot quicker than I would have ever anticipated. But I'm really, really happy with where I'm at. It is a lot of work, but this time it feels like, cause with my freelance career, I hit the ceiling. There was no more going up. I worked with all of the companies that I could potentially work with in that space. With this, it feels like there's a way to expand. There's a way to grow. There's thousands of content creators to talk to. There's all this, there's a whole new world on both sides of what I'm doing now. And I can see the growth and I can see the expansion. And that's probably what gets me is the most exciting to me. And I've told both my business partners this, that my goal is to one day not be sitting down designing everything. It is to be working with designers who specialize in specific things and having them do the things that, I kind of see in my mind's eye.
So you want to be more on the client. You want to be the more in between the client and your design team.
Yes.
If that's so, I mean, you have a vision. Like the question for content creators that it normally is asked is, where do you see this going? And this is where you see it going. So you have a path laid out. And so this is so it's not just hey, I'm here to create some t-shirts and some logos and hats for some streamers. I'm here to create something that's bigger than it is right now, and basically be the go-to for merchandise for streamers and content creators.
Yeah, that's my goal is we want to be the one-stop shop where you can get merchandise and a rebrand and all of your stream graphics. And, outside of that, other than equipment, when it comes to a design scale, like we want to be you can get everything here. Like you don't need to go to this guy to get this guy to get that. If you have graphic needs or graphic design services that you need done, we can handle it.
So you've also mentioned that you've worked with countless, bands, and you work with Warner Music, you said, and the design. So and I mean, I don't know if you want to or willing to maybe name drop, but have you met and worked with probably some pretty famous people along your way?
Surprisingly, no. So basically, the way the music merch industry works is I work with managers. So I've met every you can imagine. And two, when I was in at Warner, I would go and meet some of the bands. I've met, trying to think. I've met like Action Bronson. I met Kid Rock one time. I met Waka Flocka Flame. I met him. I met Wiz Khalifa. So I did meet people as they kind of came in the office and stuff like that. We'd go to a handful of concerts. Like I got to go to Gojira and Mastodon, and I was backstage with them. I had tickets to Iron Maiden this year, but I didn't get to go. And So, I didn't really, it was more of, I was talking to management when it comes to that type of stuff. Because, the bands have a manager and Warner has a manager, and then Warner has an art department. Working directly with bands is not that common. One of the, a handful of bands that I have worked directly with would be like Newfound Glory, a band called Starset, couple of, like, a handful of other ones. My mind's kind of drawing a blank, but yeah, for the most part in that industry, very rarely do you work directly with the band. They kind of have someone who handles all that stuff for them.
Okay.
And then the same thing, like, working, like, I did two big projects last year with Disney, and I worked with an account manager. So stuff like that. So it's actually kind of cool in the space of the content creator, because I am working directly with these guys for the most part. So yeah, so I mean, I've had a lot of opportunities. I'm not much of a music guy, ironically. Like, I don't go nuts over a lot of bands. The biggest band that was like a dream client was Metallica, and I got to do a lot of stuff with them. But again, I talked to their management. I didn't talk to them. So it is pretty surprising at how little interaction goes on in that world. At least for me. Then again, you have there's plenty of artists who, and designers who work directly with the bands. A guy, his name's Milan, and he's with his Stay Bold Design, and he does all the stuff for like the Amity Affliction. And I know that they have like a good relationship. And I know a handful of other designers that do work directly with the bands, just because they've kind of, that's just kind of how it happened.
Okay. So even in your freelance working, mostly you were working with management of said companies, not mostly with anybody maybe directly in like a band or any of the companies. So okay.
Yeah.
All right, but still, like I said, I've seen some of your stuff like you put on stream, so it
Hmm.
must kind of be an interesting thing to see someone walk down the street with a, say like you said, Metallica shirt on, going that you helped design that or design that yourself.
Hmm.
It must be, or like you walk into a store, retail store, and see like a Marvel. You said you work Disney, Marvel, etc., and see a shirt on the rack that you've designed. It must be kind of a surreal feeling even to this day.
It was.
Not so much
um,
anymore.
No, it's, I remember so the first time I saw one of my designs in the wild, it was in a Hot Topic, and someone was wearing my shirt, and then there was like five of them on the wall. And so that was, at first it was like, it was really cool. And then you kind of, you do it over and over, and you get a little jaded. It's the same thing when, like, my first, because working with Disney and Marvel was like, that was like my Mount Everest. And I achieved that. And I went to Target and I bought the Marvel shirt that I had designed. And then it was like another one came out, and then another one came out. And so it is flattering and it is really cool, but it's just like anything that happens over and over and over, it kind of loses its luster. And it's the same thing with, like, some of these content creators that I work with, like, I was huge fans of theirs, like, fanboyed out like crazy, and was so excited that they just responded to me, versus like now it's like, it's just a conversation, and it's like, like, hey, what's up, man? Like, how you doing? Like, oh, what do you need? It's just like, I don't know, you just go from like, you're in awe to like, yo, that's my buddy. Like, let's chat. What are we gonna do? So it's weird. It's a wild world.
I just couldn't imagine seeing one of my designs in the world. I guess, like I said, I've never had it happen to me. So to see something I've created to be, I mean, like watching my own content is not quite the same thing. So it's like I said,
Mhm.
it's something I don't think I've ever sat down and discussed with anybody. In an interview like this, or just in a general conversation. Hey, you designed that. What's it feel like to see that out in the world? It's got to be the same thing for a car designer. After they design so many cars, like everything just looks
Right.
the same driving down the road.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I know this interview. This is we're recording this on the 17th, and this is going live next. I'd say I think do believe I'm scheduling this for probably the 22nd. So I know you guys from tweets I've seen, you guys are kind of keeping stuff close to your chest. But we're going to kind of give you the floor here at the end, and anything between, anything after that the 22nd, if you want to kind of promote anything that you can speak of. I know you're keeping a lot of stuff close to your chest and letting a lot of the content creators kind of do their own thing when it comes to announcing stuff.
Right.
Is there anything that's coming in the pipes that's big you want to tease, or is there you kind of keep your cards close to your chest?
So we're on the 18th. The Halloween line will be released, and it's only available up until Halloween Day. It's kind of our first kind of ebb and flow with giving a mass store limited edition item. So that's the next the immediate big thing. Also, All Coop's store will be launched, and his rebrand will coincide with that. We're kind of on track to be opening up new stores. Potentially weekly, definitely every other week type thing. We did announce that we are going to be doing a store with BBXH, so she'll have something in the next few weeks, month. That's going to be coming out. We've applied for licenses for video games. I'll let you take a wild guess as to which game we're trying to get.
I don't need to guess.
So that seems to be going well. So that will be on the horizon. We're also looking into doing some kind of community game nights with our roster on High Score Tees. That's kind of new. So we're in the very early stages of kind of figuring that out. Maybe like once a month, we'll bring on a few of the people who own a store, and we'll game and stream it for the night, something like that. Black Friday will be a big sale on the site. We haven't quite decided how that will look. So there might be some new designs. We have a couple of stores coming out with some really cool limited edition items that will be, 100 of them, and then they're gone forever. So we're moving towards a lot of that type of stuff with the new stores. And yeah, mainly getting ready for the holidays, looking to sign new streamers. We're in talks with a new manufacturer that'll open up more products that we can give to everyone. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff. We also have expanded on Monster Lagoon's side, expanded out of just doing Twitch streamers, and we have landed or are working with a content creator on YouTube who has a quite the following. So we're really excited to roll out that rebrand and kind of work with them on what they're coming out with in the next few months. Not sure, it definitely won't be something on High Score Tees because they don't fit that world. High Score Tees will only be gaming and gaming centered content. So you'll never see like a random, YouTuber that does, fashion specifically or weight loss specifically or this or that thing specifically. It'll all be, only gaming content will go on there so that it's an extremely niche audience. So, nothing super specific in the next few months. We do have, a handful of big stores coming out probably later in the year. And we're just, we're mainly just trying to spread the word, grow our community, grow the streamers stores and stuff like that, work on limited edition items, and then kind of figure out the flow and the schedule of what High Score Tees looks like.
Very, very good. Like I said, I know you keep stuff close to your chest because you kind of want the content creators to kind of do their own thing, to do their reveals, which is another cool aspect. I see you teasing stuff all the time on Twitter. And speaking of that, there's going to be links to all of Covery's stuff down in the description. If you're listening to this on any other podcast service, this is also on YouTube. It's on SoundCloud. Other sites yet to be guaranteed on Spotify, possibly, if everything goes well. So I'm trying to get my stuff out there as well and around. So the easiest probably way to reach myself and probably Corey, I think right now, is probably Twitter. Or do you have a better preferred access?
You can Twitter or Discord.
Okay.
I have made it a little bit harder for me to find on Discord because the second you open a store, I get a flood of messages about products I need to add to the store. So I kind of shut that down real quick. But you can also on High Score Tees, you can join our Discord server, and I try to, you know, me or Kyle, who helps me run that, we're both pretty active, and I feel like I'm fairly easy to get in touch with. But yeah, I will definitely respond on Twitter or Discord.
Okay. So like I said, I'll link all your stuff in the description here on YouTube and other services as applicable. So I want to thank you again. I know you're busy, and getting this scheduled wasn't difficult, but I mean, it worked out. I mean, me being on vacation, it worked out really well because normally I'm in the middle of a 13-hour shift today. So I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and have this conversation, and to kind of give us an insight on your little world. And it definitely was interesting. I definitely learned a little bit. You know, this is, like I said, this is why it's called Beyond the Games. You know, this is this little project I got going on is not all centered on video games, even though your creation is mostly video games related.
Right.
So
I'm in the sphere.
So as again, thank you very much for taking the time in your busy schedule to join me. And to everyone that's listened, definitely feel free to comment. Feel free to reach out to Corey or myself with any questions or comments on this. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.